Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates for only like $5 a month. Also, make sure to check out the third wave of the third wave merchandise. And in this video, I want to do something a bit different. I actually want to talk about Bitcoin dominance and Cardano at the same time. And for this, I need to overlay the Bitcoin dominance chart on the Cardano chart. So I don't think I've ever done this, but I want to show you what happened in the previous couple of cycles when Bitcoin dominance stopped and, when it started going down. And, well, let's actually start with 2017. Someone asked me, I think yesterday, to cover what happened in 2017 as well. And obviously, we don't have that much data. And, we do have a couple of weeks, so maybe we can use this. And during this time, as you can see, this red thing on the chart, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart and the percentages, where it was right here, for example, you can see it on the left. Here we were at about 67%. And, well, let's take a look at what happened each time Cardano actually went up and what happened each time Bitcoin dominance went down. And let's see if Bitcoin dominance is actually important or not. And also, people don't really understand that, for the altcoin season to start, we need Bitcoin dominance to drop. And in this video, I'm going to show you why that is. And I'm going to show you why Cardano in this cycle is doing a lot better than what it was doing in the previous cycle. I know that sounds pretty insane, but let me actually show you this. So first, let's talk about the 2017 cycle. Well, the 2018 cycle, we don't have that much data, like I said. However, if you look at this right here, when Bitcoin dominance was at about 67%, during that time, Cardano was at, let's say, at most 17 cents. Now, look at what happened when Bitcoin dominance dropped from 70% or 67% all the way down to about 36%. During that time, Cardano went from this low right here at 16 cents all the way up to about $1.40. It might not seem like a lot. However, if you take this tool right here and if you take, let's say, this right here, during that time, Cardano went up about 1000% in a matter of 28 days and Bitcoin dominance dropped about, well, 30%. Please keep that in mind, it's extremely important. Now, I also want to talk about what happened during the bear market, because this is also important. So in this cycle, if you look at what we did, Bitcoin dominance pretty much went up in a straight line. However, Cardano actually went up with it. Of course, it did not go up as much as the Bitcoin dominance chart because, well, it's going up for a reason. However, unlike the previous cycle, in this cycle, we went up with Bitcoin dominance instead of doing something like we did over here. So if you take a look at the chart here, you could say that we went up with Bitcoin dominance. However, after that, we had this huge drop. And during this time, Bitcoin dominance was getting cycle highs. And then we had another drop right here. And during this time, Bitcoin dominance was actually cooling off, which is interesting. And then we went up again. When we went up here, we went up from about 2 cents to about 16 cents. And during this time, if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, we went from, let's see, about 66% all the way down to about, well, if you take the high, to about 58%. So here we went down at like 8%, and during that time Cardano went up to 12x or 13x, something like that. Now, of course, what happened here is not really relevant because we actually need to look at what happened after Bitcoin dominance stopped and what Cardano was doing before Bitcoin dominance actually topped in the previous cycle. As you can see here, in the previous cycle we actually topped on the Bitcoin dominance chart in December of 2020, and when we topped, Cardano was at most at about 20 cents over here. It was actually at the trend line of the 1212 setup, and during that time Bitcoin dominance was at 70%. So keep that in mind. Bitcoin dominance 70%, Cardano was at about 20 cents or so. Let's take a look at what happened after we dropped, and let's take a look at what happened during that drop and how much Cardano went up during that time. So when Bitcoin dominance dropped from 70% to this low right here, and we dropped to like 40% this time, which means this was a 30% drop, during this time Cardano went from 20 cents to about this high right here, which was at $2.80. So this was, actually no, $2.40, I'm sorry. And this was a 30% move to the downside on the Bitcoin dominance chart. And well, you can continue with what happened after that as well. I mean, then we got, some type of bounce here, and that gave us this sideways price action. And then when we had another low on the Bitcoin dominance chart, as you can see, that actually gave us another high on the Cardano chart. And when Bitcoin dominance was at 40% right here, Cardano pretty much topped, and that was the beginning of the bear market. Now, of course, after that, we still had another low right here, but this only happened because of Ethereum, so please do not forget that. And yeah, what I want to show you with this is that in this cycle, we're still doing pretty good. I mean, when you compare what we're doing right now to what we were doing right here, exactly in the previous cycle, exactly after Bitcoin dominance got to be cycle top, if you want to ignore this right here, because this was just a big fake out. And I believe on the Bitcoin dominance chart, if you look at my chart over here, this high was actually higher than this one. So yeah, if you actually want to believe in the Bitcoin dominance theory, then I think we are still in a normal cycle. And while right now Bitcoin dominance is at about 64%, and I want to take a look at this chart, and I want to show you my targets for what I think it's gonna go in the next couple of months, or actually by the let's say the end of January of next year. And well, in order to do that, let me actually get rid of this. And like I said, we are currently at 64%. However, on this chart, we went to about 65%. It doesn't really matter. I believe that in the next couple of months, it will start breaking down and we will get back to about 40% to test the trend line right here. And if that happens, I mean, right now Cardano is at 75 cents. Imagine what will happen when Bitcoin dominance drops to these lows. And for example, like it did over here during this time, like I said, Cardano went up like 10 or 15x in a matter of a couple of months. And here as well in 2017, we went from I think like 16 cents, I said, all the way up to like $1.70 in also a couple of months. And keep in mind, Cardano was not actually around for this bigger drop. It was only around for the drop that we had, I believe, over here. So, I mean, this right here, yes, it seems like a major drop, but it wasn't really that major. I mean, it was 35%, and what I'm expecting to get in this cycle is less than that, however, not really that much less. And, well, if we drop from 65% to, let's say, about 42%, that's a pretty significant drop. I mean, it's like, let's see, about 24% or so, and obviously it might not seem like a lot compared to what happened over here, but you have to keep in mind, Bitcoin right now has a much higher market cap, meaning that if we actually get this, well, actually not if, but when we do get the correction on the Bitcoin dominance chart, this is going to be the biggest altcoin season yet, just because Bitcoin is at a much higher market cap than it was right here when Bitcoin dominance was dropping. So people don't really understand this. But even if we just do absolutely nothing on the Cardano chart for another couple of weeks, it's not gonna matter. Yes, I know I said that we will most likely get to all-time highs by the end of the second week of June, but that was only based on what happened in the 2017 cycle, and I mean, we don't have that much data, so I can obviously not tell you what will happen. However, even if nothing that I say will happen, you also have to know that Bitcoin dominance will break down at some point, and when it does, we will just do what we did right here in the previous cycle and what we did right here in the previous cycle. So again, in case you did not pay attention, or maybe you did not understand what I said, here Bitcoin dominance was at cycle highs in December of 2017 when Cardano was at this low right here at 17 cents. After we got a big break to the downside on the Bitcoin dominance chart, we went to about $1.30, and keep in mind, Cardano actually missed most of the move that happened before this because it was not around. So maybe during this time it would have gone up from like 1 cent to about $1.30, and maybe that is the case, I don't know. And well, the exact same thing happened in this cycle. I mean, here we were at pretty much the exact same price as the 2017 cycle. Here we were at like 20 cents, and Bitcoin dominance actually topped over here, and then we got to these highs right here, or even these highs if you want to count them. And during that time, we went from 20 cents to first $2.40 and then to $3.10. And this only happened when Bitcoin dominance broke down, And right now, people are complaining, even though we're at like 70 cents, which is 4 times the amount of where it was in 2017 and about 3.5 times more than what it was in the previous cycle when Bitcoin dominance was actually at cycle highs. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing to complain about. I mean, even if Bitcoin dominance just goes sideways for another couple of weeks or even months, or if it just goes to 66%, it's not gonna matter, because once we get that big move to the downside, that's gonna get us a move like this. Obviously not financial advice, but the data suggests that Bitcoin dominance will break at some point. Now, please do not take a shot for each time I said Bitcoin dominance in this video, because you will probably drop dead. And well, I mean, we're at 75 cents and people are complaining. We are respecting support levels. There's literally nothing to complain about right now, at least when you compare this cycle to the previous cycle. It's the exact 1-2-1-2 setup like we have right now, and Bitcoin dominance is at 65%. It was at 65%, and Cardano is not at bear market lows, meaning that we're doing just fine. Also, we are very close to the trend line right here like we were in the previous cycle. Obviously, in this cycle, we are a bit far away from it than what we were doing over here, but it doesn't really matter. And honestly, I still look forward to seeing what's gonna happen when, Cardano actually gets to all-time highs in the next couple of months. Obviously, people are going to start FOMOing in like they did over here and like they did over here, and then they are gonna, keep the coin during the bear market. They will lose like 90% of their money, and then they're gonna get into my comments section and they are gonna start complaining that Cardano is a dead coin, even though it's not even meant to be at all-time highs yet, because Bitcoin dominance is still at all-time highs. And I showed you many examples, pretty much all of the examples that we have, and these examples show you that Cardano can only go up when Bitcoin dominance goes down. Now also I want to show you something over here. When Bitcoin dominance dropped from 61% to about 54%, during this time Cardano went up like 300%. So now please imagine what's gonna happen when we drop from 65% back to the trend line right here. This is why I think Cardano getting to $8 is still extremely realistic, but also please do not forget to take some profits, because you never know what can happen. And yeah, I mean, that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates for only like $5 a month. Also check out the third wave merchandise, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.